Good morning, fellow Plexers. A member of a group wanted to know how to do a few things with a music library, and of course, my mind went right to MusicBrainz Picard. So I thought I'd do a tutorial video showing how to create a custom mix type of album that Plex will scan in properly, while also showing how to supply better metadata for music you have or you rip yourself. So I'm running elementary OS. I've got a Sunder open, and I've already ripped one CD, and there's a second one. So I'm going to let that go in the background so you know what I'm actually doing here. And we'll use MusicBrainz Picard on two different types of files. Something ripped from a CD, and then a collection of custom songs to make your own mixtape. I just grabbed these songs from my music library from different artists and different albums, and that'll be our final example. So let's get this going first. I just loaded the CD in, and there's not much to do here besides click rip. So we'll let that go in the background, and let's go back to the first one that's ripped. We'll drag that over into MusicBrainz Picard into the left window. So if you click on any individual song, you'll see we've got some basic metadata that was pulled from a Sunder as it ripped the media. And that's probably good enough for Plex. But it's so quick and easy to simply use MusicBrainz Picard to check metadata, and while you're checking metadata, you might as well upgrade it. So the first thing you do is click cluster, then click on the album and click scan, and MusicBrainz Picard connects to the online database source, and if you get a little gold CD, usually you're all set. Now sometimes there could be multiple releases of the same album, maybe a re-release, maybe a UK version or a Japanese version versus the US version. And occasionally the order can change, or there could be one different song. So you might have to go up here and search. Sorry, it opened up in another window, another monitor, to try to find the correct release. And that's not too big of a deal. If you do find another release, you'll have them both on the screen, and you can drag the files from one to the other and drop it in. It's very simple. So that's how you use it to create great metadata. And if we click on one song, you'll see all this extra information. Plex cannot go wrong with extra information. And all you do is you simply hit save, and it writes all that to each song. It embeds the metadata. So let's wait until this is finished, and I'll show you how you can do two at once. So I'm just going to right click and choose remove. Now it's gone. My printer's decided to clean the heads. Alright, so just a few percentage points left. Okay, so now I've ripped two CDs. So Plex isn't going to care if these are in single directories or one big directory, and MusicBrainz Picard's not going to care either. So we'll hit cluster, and we'll highlight both of them, and we'll hit scan, and we'll see what happens. If you're not sure whether to have something in a single album folder or a multiple or a combined one, this will tell you. So we've got two albums, but it looks like we have an extra song here. So let me get rid of this. And it doesn't look like we're missing anything. So if I go back to my rips, I have 13 songs in the first CD and 15 in the second. So 13 in the first, and only 14 in the second. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on one song, and I'm going to just copy Frank Sinatra, paste it up here, and then I'm going to copy Duets 2, Roman numeral style, put a space and paste it here, close this back up, and then I'll search. So what I'm looking for is a version that has 15 songs, and I'm not finding it, which makes this more interesting. So my copy of this CD is not in a database, but this is kind of cool. It's not going to stop us. So My Way Home with Willie Nelson, let's take a look here. I'm in the wrong folder, is the 15th CD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit these changes to what we have. Now I'm going to drag this in, but you'll see it won't drag in. So what I can do is I can click on everything I need to and start pasting information in. So it's already the 15th track. Let's get the date, 2003. Let's see, they're all 2003. The date's wrong on the rip. Let's do the album artist. So we don't see the album artist, so I can right click and I can choose add new tag. Sorry, it opened off screen. And I can look for album artist. So now we have that. And let's see what else we should give it. Let's give it a genre. The more information that matches, the better. All right, so let's compare this. My Way by Willie Nelson, that looks good. So let's copy this. Let's change this to Frank Sinatra Duet with Willie Nelson. So I'm going to just click on this song and hit save. And let's just hope we've got enough information matches that Plex will find it. This kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't expect to not find an exact database match for a CD that I've been meaning to rip. Every day's a school day with Plex. So we've got that done. Let's go to the custom one. So these are just files I ripped from different albums, and if I drag them in here, still got to get rid of Willie Nelson. If I drag them in here, because they already have good metadata, some of them are going to be found. And you'll see this, we're short one song here because it's been found over on the right side. It's from the Toys in the Attic album by Aerosmith, and this is what Plex will see if we add it. So actually, let's do that. Let's add this as it is. We're going to copy it so I can still play with it. And I've just created a test library folder in my main music collection. then let's bring these two albums over. And hold on. I can actually move them right over. And then we'll let Plex scan, and it's going to scan this one wrong because it's not prepped right, but I wanted to show that. So to save time, we'll let this keep running while I prep it correctly. All right, so it found the two Sinatra albums. Let's see if we've got 15 songs. And we do. There's just not as much information on the 15th one. So we kind of force that 15th one in. And the more fields you add, the more metadata you'll have. But some of it might not be complete because this is being matched to online database sources, and this is just coming from the embedded metadata. So this Led Zeppelin song, or actually, let's misscanned this as the artist Led Zeppelin 4 and added these. So this is a mess. It's not going to work that way. Which is why you just can't create a folder structure to make things work with a music library like you can with a movie or a series library. So let's straighten this up. Let's get rid of this. And are we still scanning? Yeah, we're still scanning. So I'll have to rescan once that finishes.
You have an informational message.
So now we'll go back to Musicbrainz Picard and we'll drag this custom mix folder in. And let me open it here. So you can name these number these any way you want. So you see how they still have their track numbers from how they are here. So let me renumber them. Just so I have a guide to go by. All right, so now we'll drag them back in. So Go Your Own Way should be first, but obviously it's not. So that's the first thing we have to do, is just change the track number. But at least now they're in the order I renumbered them in, listed in Musicbrainz Picard. Oh, and I screwed things up because the one was found automatically. So actually this one's going to be 3. And the boxer is going to be 4. And Sundown is going to be 5. Okay, so I got that straight. So now all you have to do is highlight all of them. And we're going to call this Albert's Custom Mix album. So I'm going to adjust the album one, and I'm going to call the artist various artists, and that will cause this to show up in the various artists folder. And I don't have to change the title. If I go to any individual one, we want to leave the title alone. Now if you wanted to, you could do this. I'm going to have to type it by hand, but you could do this. I'm only going to, oh, sorry. I'm only going to do 2 to show you how it'll look like once Plex scans it in. Okay, so if we highlight all of them again, we have various artists for all of the artists on them. We have a custom album title, and the last 2 things we want to do is a date and a cover. So let me do today's date. And then you see all the covers over here. So if I simply grab this cover that I created, Albert's custom cover album, I can drag it over and drop it right here. And now that's the new cover art. And if I hit save, I'm getting an error on Sweet Emotion. Let's see. Let's remove that and add it back in. I must have dragged it wrong somehow. So let's manually apply this. And we're track 03. And we're today's date. Did I use 2023 or 2022 on the other ones? And let's drag in the custom artwork and then hit save. Yeah, so I used the wrong date. So let's fix this one to match the others. Hit save. So now if I dump these and bring them back in, and now if I hit cluster, I'm still having trouble with this one. Every day's a school day. Oh, I see why. I didn't give it a custom album name to match the rest. Alright, so let's save that now. Get rid of everything and drag it back in and see what happens. Oh, so obviously I don't know what's going on. Remove just the one and drag just the one back in. Well, I should have thought of this sooner. Maybe there's a problem with the properties. it's still not clustering with the others. Time for me to end this video, my phone says. Alright, so this is not funny any longer. I can't figure out what's going on with this. Why the metadata is locking. So we're just going to dump this now. And I'll have to figure this out later. This is a weird one for sure. So let's just remove this one. And let me rescan things to get rid of that mistake, or that album that scanned in that didn't really go together because they were just a custom collection of songs. Big libraries take a while to scan. All right, it's almost done. All right, so drop that out, and let's paste this in now. And now we'll rescan. And we have Albert's Custom Mix album, and if we click into it, we have everything except for that pesky Sweet Emotion track that at the moment I don't know why I couldn't adjust the metadata on it. But them are the breaks. Every day's a school day with Plex, and sometimes you're the teacher and sometimes you're the student, and obviously I have something else to learn about why that one file was a problem child today. So anyway, I'm not a professional YouTuber. None of my videos are monetized. I do this just to help out other people learning about Plex. Musicbrainz Picard is the absolute essential program to fix your music library. You can drop in multiple folders and just let it do its stuff. But I wouldn't advise doing more than 4 or 5, especially if you got really bad metadata. Well, I can't drop any of this in from my Synology NAS. But if I bring it back to my local drive, I can then drop it in. So if you're dropping multiple ones in, you hit cluster, and then you just hit scan. But you might get multiple versions. It might think one song is from multiple albums, so it gets kind of messy if you drop 20 albums in at a time. I do 3 or 4, and it just goes a lot faster. Do 3 or 4 or 5, get them all matched up. You might have to move one song out of the wrong album into the correct one, and you can just drag and drop it where it needs to go. It's pretty easy. Thanks for watching.